Hey friend, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here listening to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. Here we talk all about the ins and outs of designing knit and crochet patterns and running a business that makes it all possible. I'm Jessica, your host, knitting pattern designer, design mentor, and the friend in your ear. Can't wait to dive right in. The Pattern Design Circle podcast is sponsored by the Pattern Design Circle, a membership community for knit and crochet pattern designers that are feeling lost, lonely, or frustrated in their business. It connects you with a supportive community that's always eager to answer your questions and help you through the hard times. And there's loads of resources and activities specifically catered to business and designing. Sound like your jam? Check it out at snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. That's snickerdoodle, like the cookie, knits, knits.com/design-circle. All right, let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the Pattern Design Circle podcast. I am so excited that you are here and that I am back. So I thought I'd just do this little mini episode to explain what happened. There was a break there and I never gave you any warning. So what had happened was that I did go on vacation, and I thought that I was going to be able to have everything batch recorded before I left so that I could just release as normal because I can schedule it behind the scenes. And that did not happen. I had about 3 billion things that I was going to get done before I left, and maybe 500 million got done. Anyway, so that's why I was quiet here on the podcast and on social media, and then transitioning back into life. My spouse, he got COVID after we got back, and then I ended up with a neck injury and all of this stuff. So now we've been back for almost 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So anyway, I'm excited to be back. We went to Europe, which obviously that's not very specific. Europe is a huge area. So we did a trip that we'd been planning for multiple years with my brother and his spouse to basically the places that if we were to only go to Western Europe once, like very Western Europe, what would we definitely want to see? And so we packed in a ton. We were gone for about 2.5 weeks. We saw London, Amsterdam, Paris, Nice, which Nice is southern France, close to Monaco and Monte Carlo. And then we had just a few hours in Pisa and then Florence and Rome. So we basically had like 2 days in each place, maybe even a little bit less, including transportation in some places. So we did a lot. If you're curious to know more about the trip and stuff, I did my first Instagram live back on my pattern design Instagram account, which is at Snickerdoodle Knits, Snickerdoodle like the cookie, KNITS. That live video, I actually shared a bunch of photos, and a lot of what we talked about was my trip. So if you're curious about all the travel stuff, feel free to check that out. The replay is also on YouTube, but when you watch it on YouTube, because it was recorded on Instagram, it's just the vertical recording. It's not like a full YouTube recording. And so that one is from, well, let's see here. I'm looking it up on Instagram right now so that if you go back to look at it, it is the June 3rd knit chit chat. Yeah, so feel free to check that out. But what I thought I'd go ahead and dive into on this mini episode is that it is okay to take breaks. Actually, it's really important to take breaks. A lot of times it's easy to get caught up in this whole hustle mentality of I have to be constantly working. If I want to be growing, I have to, no breaks, no time for fun, no vacations, all of this stuff. And that's actually the opposite of how our brains and our bodies work. Our brains and our bodies need breaks. They need breaks throughout the day. Maximum every 90 minutes a day, you're supposed to take a break. do something completely different for 10 minutes so that your brain can just rest for a little bit. But then also on a weekly scale, and of course, like on a monthly and yearly scale and things like that. So that's something that I'm working more towards, slowly applying in my business, my life. I've always been classified as a workaholic since at least middle school. I just always was doing homework and then work and all of that stuff. And then once I was done with school, I my first job outside of college quickly found I like immediately had me working 60 hours a week. And anyway, so that's just totally the way that I work. And it's not healthy for me. And so I'm trying to learn that it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to stop and to enjoy life. And been doing a lot more of that this year, and it's been really, really enjoyable. So another hard thing for me is that I often feel like I mentioned, I need to have everything ready before I go so that it's just seamless while I'm gone. And of course, that means we have a whole lot more work before we go. And a lot of times it turns out that's not actually possible. And so I'm learning that it's okay to just let go of things. Um, Things aren't going to fall apart. Nothing too bad is really going to happen. It's just like this whole psychological thing of knowing, like, oh my goodness, I'm not doing what I should be. That's in air quotes, should be. And I'm not showing up for my audience and I'm not selling and, all of these things. And the whole moral of the story is that's just a little blip in the whole timeline. It's going to be okay. Do what you need to do for you. So if it's something that you struggle with as well, if go ahead and send me a message on Instagram, either at Snickerdoodle Knits or at Pattern Design Circle. Let's chat about it. Happy to hold you accountable or anything like that, or just chat about it. Tell me about what you're wanting to do, and let's figure out how you can actually carve out that time, because really it's a matter of what we make our priorities. If we make our business our priority, that's what we're going to spend all of our time on. If we start to make these breaks and these fun times and personal care and all of these different things a priority, they're going to start to take up more time, and naturally the business will take up less time. And I'm sure you've heard all sorts of different stats and things, but they say 80% of our results come from 20% of our work often, which means basically we're overworking ourselves. We're adding in all of these extra little things that aren't important and that aren't getting us anywhere. And so really learning what's most important is part of this prioritizing. So actually, I wasn't planning on talking about all of this, but this summer, basically, my theme for myself and my business is slowing down and getting back to the foundations. And the hardest thing for me with this whole slowing down thing, I've cut it back to only working X number of hours a month or a week. And I have certain times that are me time, and all these different things that I'm really working on. And the hardest thing for me was that I realized that now I have a whole lot more decisions to make. Before I had huge to-do lists, and I just started attacking them and, work until 3 o'clock in the morning and start again the next day and work through the weekend, and most of it gets done. But now I'm being very intentional with my time. Like, nope, I only have X number of hours to work today. I have to make so many more decisions about what's important. And so being really clear on what your goals are and what's important for you and your business are going to make the decision process a whole lot easier. And understanding what brings you joy and what's actually bringing the results, knowing where your sales actually come from and things like that. So that for me, at least, that is the really, really hard part about slowing down and taking breaks, is figuring out what in the world do I prioritize. I can't do it all. So what is most important? And ultimately, I know that once I've gone through this process and I get really comfortable with it, my life is going to be so much more enjoyable. It's going to be so much more balanced, and it's going to look so much more like what I want it to look like. So I'm really excited about what's coming up, and it's all because my theme is slowing down. And I really do believe that we can slow down and still keep up the same pace for our business, as far as our goals and revenue and things like that, just because we so often commit to and pile on different tasks that really aren't that important. So if this is something that you're really interested in, if you're interested in really trying to slow down and not work as much, start taking account of where your time is going. Know exactly where all of your tasks, what your tasks are, and how much time you're spending on them each day and each week. And then take a look at those and figure out, if I'm spending 20 hours a week on this task, this activity, this category, is it bringing in 50% of my revenue? And if it's not, figure out, okay, how can we make this take less time, be less priority, get rid of it altogether, or make more money so that it's actually reflecting the time that you're putting into it. But then I think it's all about boundaries. Being very clear on what's important to you, and then knowing how you're going to implement that. And for that, me, it's mostly boundaries with myself, saying, all right, I'm done working. Now it's my playtime. I'm going to go do what I want. And actually sticking to that and not budging, so that I'm working until crazy hours in the morning again. So I hope, if this, let me know if this resonated with you. If this is a topic that we want to talk more about, I'm more than happy to chat more about this whole process of slowing down, and prioritizing and really doing what's most important, knowing your numbers, all of that kind of stuff in your business. But I am so glad to be back, so glad that you are here, and excited to keep diving into all of the business and marketing and designing things. If there's ever any kind of topic that you're interested in hearing about here on the podcast, feel free to shoot me an email or connect with me on Instagram, and let me know, because I love chatting all the things business and designing. So I'm at Snickerdoodle Knits, Snickerdoodle like the cookie, KNITS is my designing account on Instagram, and at Pattern Design Circle, just like the podcast name, on Instagram for all of my design coaching kind of stuff. So I hope to connect with you soon. And other than that, have a wonderful week, and look forward to talking to you again on the next podcast. Wow. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found it valuable, please share the podcast with a designer friend. And if you have a minute, leave a review. It's so helpful for me and means the world to me. Chat soon.